today, Rachel. And we're going to be talking about something that's quite painful to most people, rejection. Why do you think, generally speaking, rejection is painful?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi.
Hi. I reckon rejection's really, really painful because it's so personal. You've made yourself really vulnerable to a person or to a situation, and then if they just turn around and say, no, you're not here, you're not having it, you're not for me, that's like they're cutting you to the core because you've like taken away all the layers. You've said, I want to be here, this is really important to me, and then you just get shut out.
Yeah. And so your experience of rejection, when's your earliest memory or the most poignant memory of rejection for you?
So the most poignant memory happened in high school. It was my first boyfriend, my first relationship. And yeah, he was it was really, really troubling. Because he like I opened myself up to him. Yeah. I said, hey, I really want to spend time with you. I want to communicate with you. I want to know you better. And he went along with it for a bit. And it was like, yeah, I really kind of like this. This is fun. And then all of a sudden he was like, yep, no, done. Goodbye.
Wow.
And I just, yeah, he vanished essentially.
Do you want to set up, so what kind of high school were you at and what were you like at that time of your life?
Yeah, so I went to a co-ed high school, so boys and girls, and it was half selective. So I was in the selective part, he was in the general part. And it was, high school was tough. Like being, it took me a really long time to find out where I fit in.
Yeah.
And I think I was kind of getting there at this point. Like I was getting there. I had some really good friends. I was kind of trying to work out who I was, what was happening in the world, and like how I fit into that. And then, yeah, I was really artsy, did a lot of drama, did a lot of like painting, drawing, drama club every week after school. And yeah, I was just having a good time.
And how did you meet him in high school?
So he was in the popular boys group.
Okay.
He was, he wasn't the most popular of the popular boys group, but he hung out with those people.
Right.
And so of course, like me and my friends, we were like, oh my God, it's the popular boys group. We've got to go. We've got to go talk to them. Oh my gosh, maybe they'll like us. And so like we'd make excuses to walk past their tables at lunchtime and just be like, hey, how's it going? And just like strike up little meaningless conversations that meant so much to us and we were so focused on them. But honestly, they meant nothing. But obviously, like, it meant something to him. He sent me a message.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he sent you a message on like what, Facebook or what was it?
It was Facebook Messenger.
Facebook at the time, showing my age. And then, and was it like, what was that feeling when you got that message? Because like, I imagine you were like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was electric. It was like, oh my gosh, someone noticed me.
Yeah.
Because like I'd had crushes before and I'd like talk to boys like a little bit and like talk to my friends who are boys, but never like in a way where it's like, oh, I like you, you're cute. Yeah. Like that kind of way. And it was so exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, he messaged me. What do I say? Be cool. We got to be cool. Yeah, and so we just like we messaged for a bit, like probably a ridiculously long time because we were both teenagers and no one who's a teenager is willing to like make the first move.
Yeah.
But we probably messaged for honestly about 3 months maybe.
Okay.
And that was like every night or every second night.
And what sustained that? Like, did you guys have mutual interests or was the interest just each other? Or
I think we honestly I don't know. I think we were just both like absolutely clueless teenagers who were like, oh my God, it's a girl. Oh my God, it's a guy.
Yeah.
I think we talked about like I would ask about his video games and then he'd like explain it and I'd be like, oh my God, that's so interesting. Oh my goodness.
Did you play video games?
No. And like I think he would ask me about like what I did that day and it was always like, it was like completely menial. We were not but it felt like you were getting to know someone.
Well, that's what life can be meaningful. Like,
Yeah.
with the right person, those questions are still, they're just as important as, do you want to have a family? That kind of deep and meaningful stuff.
Yeah.
So after 3 months, what happened then?
He asked me out.
Mm-hmm.
He sent me a message one day and he's like, hey, so like, do you want to go out? You want to go to the movies? And he didn't even, like, it was just like straight away. It was like, oh, you want to go to the movies with me? He like proposed the date idea. He's like, I want to go see this movie with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie was Paranormal Activity 1. And if
Sorry, my face just was like, okay.
Yeah, big eye roll. Paranormal Activity 1. If you haven't seen Paranormal Activity 1.
I haven't.
It like takes a really long time to get going.
Right.
And I'm sure when it came out, it was really profound. And I'm not hating on it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not who you take your high school date, your first date to.
But a scary movie means they can like hold your hand or cuddle you.
I think that was the theory.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary enough
Right.
to like scare us.
Right.
And it wasn't like decent enough to keep me engaged.
So were you guys just sitting there overly conscious of the other person's body next to you, like, oh?
Yeah, and it was like you've got your hand on the armrest, and it's like, oh my god, we're close. Oh my god, and like the pinkies are getting, your pinky fingers are like getting closer and closer.
I have jitters, like thinking about that feeling, because it still happens. Like even now, when you're like mid to late 20s,
and it's
still
a
happening.
good feel. Like it's
fun. Lovely feeling.
Nowadays, I love it, but like when it's the first time, and you're like, oh my god, I feel sick. I feel butterflies.
It's like in a Dolly Alderton book called Ghost, and it's like describes that electric jolt you get for the first time you touch somebody, and it's so visceral. I think anybody can feel that, where it's like, and it's like, it's what's lovely about it is that it's an innocent touch. Like it's not sexual. It will often be just, accidentally grazing past you or your hands accidentally meet. It's like this wholesome, cute thing.
It's like in the musical, there's a musical Hairspray that has like a whole song about it because they like bump into each other in the hallway. She's like, oh my gosh, we touched.
Yeah.
We're going to like be married and 10 years down the line, and like she just like dreams their whole life but it is. It's
and
just
so
that
you were
innocent...
having that while Paranormal Activity was playing in the background.
Yeah. How romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was cute. We like did touch, and then it was like a little bit of hand touching, and it was like super chill, but like very exciting.
Yeah.
And it was such a like, not hating on the movie. I'm really not hating on the movie, but it was such a terrible choice.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, and because he was so certain about it. He's like, oh, will you go out with me to see Paranormal Activity 1? And I was like, okay.
Okay, you're laying your life on it.
Great. And I had no idea what it was about before I went and saw it. It was like a rerun that the cinema did.
Right. And how did things happen from there? Like, what did you guys date for a really long period of time? What happened?
Yeah, so he was my first kiss as well. Yeah. We kissed in a food court in front of my friend who said he's like, my friend wouldn't leave, and we're like, oh my God, he's like, I love third wheeling. I third wheel all the time. And then he's like, you know what's funny is when they kiss when I'm third wheeling. And I was trying to get him to leave, so I kissed him, and that was my first kiss.
Okay.
Anyway,
that's a bit of a feisty first kiss. Well, okay then, I'm gonna kiss him, and you're gonna have to disappear now.
You're gonna have to leave. But yeah, then we dated for 3 months, which is, when you're in high school, that's a long time. Decent amount of time. And like, it wasn't all roses, but no one's first relationship in high school is. It's like everyone kind of working out what they want from each other and what they want from a relationship, and where relationship fits in with friends and that kind of stuff.
What started happening in the relationship that made you be like...
Well, he kept suggesting really specific dates. Like, he kept being like, oh, so we're going to go to the botanical gardens, and then we're going to eat dinner at this place, and then we're going to go see this movie. And it was like, okay, do I get a say?
Am I in this relationship?
Like, and like, I thought, because I'd never been in a relationship before, I was like, okay, so that must be what men do in relationships. They dictate the terms. And he would be, and I thought that was like, I guess I didn't know if it was normal, so I just assumed it was, because and it was just
And so then, this is the hard part. What happened? Like, what was the rejection?
So he broke up with me by text.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because anyone who's gotten broken up with, you don't want it to happen by text, but it happens. And then about 10 minutes after I'd received that text, I got a message from my friend saying, I'm so sorry. And I hadn't told anyone.
Right.
And I was at home and it was like, I'm so sorry he dumped you. That's such a shame.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, wait, how do you know? And this is not someone I thought was a close friend of them.
Right.
And he was like, my friend was like, oh, I'm in the food court with the guy.
Oh.
And all his friends. And I was like, wait, what's going on? And he said they all just sat there together writing your breakup text, him and his friends. And I was like, what on earth? Like,
yeah,
that's ridiculous. Because it was like it felt like a personal message.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, this isn't working out. Like, thanks, bye. And it was like, it wasn't short. And he was there with, apparently, yeah, there with all his friends in the food court writing this text, and they were eating KFC or something and laughing. And it was just a horrible
that's
thing
so
to find
yucky.
out.
Like, I just imagine it just feels like icky. Like, you're just like,
yeah,
ugh, about the whole thing.
It feels like it felt gross. And then I found out later the same friend. And, well, first of all, I questioned my friend. I'm like, why are you there? Why are you writing this text with them?
Yeah.
And what on earth is going on? And he's like, oh, it's been the whole relationship. You didn't know?
Sorry, I'm just in shock. What?
As in, his friends, the reason they were really specific dates is because he and his friends would decide where we would go on our dates. And he would message his group chat and put a poll and go, oh my God, so my next date with Rachel, should we go to the movies or should we go to Luna Park? And they would vote. And like, at first I was like, okay, maybe he was nervous. Maybe he needed some support from his friends, which is fine if you're not sure and you're asking a girl out.
Yeah.
You can go get advice. But my friend was like, no, it was a game. They bet him, or not bet, they dared him to ask me out. And they dared him to... the term my friend said was they dared him to try and get in my pants.
How old were you?
Oh, 15? Like,
so
terrible.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, and so apparently the whole date had been like a choose-your-own-adventure for his friend group, the popular boys. And I had no idea, like, the whole time, 3 months. And he would send them screenshots of our messages and, like, the photos that we took together and been like, oh my God, haha. Like,
that's
just laughing at it.
horrendous.
It was terrible. It was really hurtful. And just that, like, because it meant something to me. And I was under the impression it meant something to him too. And it obviously didn't.
And, like, what did you do? Like, what can you do after you hear information like that? But, like, what did you do?
I felt really bad. I was really mad at my alleged friend who said that they were, like, in on it the whole time and didn't tell me. I was really hurt because I thought that was a close friend of mine. And then I was really mad at the guy who did it and all his friends. And then I was mad at myself because, like, oh, he, like, came up with all these specific dates. You should have noticed. But how are you meant to notice it when you have no point of reference for a normal relationship? And
you thought he just really liked Paranormal Activity 1.
Yeah. I thought he was into shitty scary movies.
Yeah. Did you ever confront him about it?
I didn't. I didn't ever want to see him again.
Yeah,
which
fair
was
enough.
really hard because we all went to the same school. But luckily we weren't in the same classes. And shortly after that, he moved country.
Thank God.
Oh, I know. So I don't have to risk running into him. But, like, I don't know what I would have done if I'd seen him. Just, like, if I had seen him and I had the emotional maturity that I have now, I'd, like, give him a piece of my mind and tell him that that's totally not acceptable. How dare he?
Yeah.
But like at that time, I probably would have just like burst into tears.
How have you worked through those feelings? Because like I had a somewhat similar-ish experience, not in the exact same terms, but where a group of guys learnt something and then held it against me and kind of pushed it on me. And it took me like years and years, and I became a complete recluse and introvert, and just like I changed trains. I would, avoid them at all costs. I was scared. I was actually physically scared because I didn't want to put myself in that position ever again. It took me a long time to work through that. It took post high school for me to work through that. How has that been for you? What have you done to try and work through it, even if you haven't worked through it yet?
I'm really sorry to hear that. That's really terrible.
No.
Yeah, it took me a long time, but I think my reaction was very much the opposite.
Yeah.
I became a lot louder and a lot more outwardly opinionated, and would assert myself a lot more. Every guy I went out with after that, I asked.
Yeah.
With the exception of my current boyfriend. And just really, I guess I had a much shorter tolerance when in relationships than I probably should have.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like if something wasn't going well, I'd be like, okay, I'm out. Like I can't deal with this. And it took me probably until my current boyfriend to be able to work through those issues and be able to feel secure in a relationship again. Yeah, just that the retrospective perspective, the retrospective look at something that you held in such high regard and someone you trusted, and then having that betrayed. It took a really long time. But what probably took longer was the friend that let me down, and getting over being able to trust friends to that level again, because it was, oh, okay, so you're my friend now, but are you behind my back doing something?
Are you still my friend behind my back?
Yeah. And it was just really difficult to get over, and it did take me well into being an adult.
Yeah.
And I guess also I dated a lot of people in between, and like my rebound was, okay, well now I've got to go in search of a relationship that's better than that, so I'm gonna like date a bunch of people and see if that's gonna give me what I want. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
Surprise. But it was a long learning curve.
Yeah.
To recover from that. Yeah.
And I think, being kind to yourself, and like I look back at that version of myself that lashed out or did all these many things to try and feel better and then became a recluse. I look back and all I want to do is hold that version of me in the way that I wish some older version of me would hold me now through all the like ups and downs of it, because it's kind of unavoidable. Like you can't expect the worst of people before they've done anything. That's no way to live. So you have to let yourself trust and like let yourself be vulnerable to those things. And it sucks because you just turn around and you'll think, what did I do to deserve all of this? Like what did I do to deserve being humiliated in that way, or to feel shame in the way that I'm feeling shame now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But also I think it's such a universal experience.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Is that like not everyone's going to have it to the degree where you were like betrayed by the love of your life. Yeah. And it's terrible and
it's unavoidable,
worthy of a drama, but
everybody
you are going to be let down by a close friend.
Yeah.
Because you have like, that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
And on whatever scale that is, that's so real on some level to every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people who have felt recently rejected, or for anybody who will potentially one day be rejected? What's your general advice for living for those people?
I would say, just be nice to yourself. It's not your fault. If they've got that agenda in their mind, it's like there's not a whole lot you can do to change it.
Yeah.
It's hardly ever going to be your fault, and there's almost never going to be anything you can do about it. And if it's happened, just try and let it go and tell yourself it wasn't me, there was nothing I could do. And then go have a bubble bath and eat some ice cream. Just take care of yourselves, and just take care of yourselves and have the perspective to be able to step outside of the situation you're in now and take a look at it as a whole and go, okay, well, this has happened. It was shitty. It's done. What's next?
Great. Thank you so much for all your advice and for sharing like a really vulnerable story. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.